For decades, the global order has relied on a predictable arrangement. The United States provides a security guarantee for international trade routes, while allied nations offer diplomatic and economic support for American interests in return. That arrangement is currently fracturing. Following the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, European leaders engaged in immediate public posturing, claiming credit for a mission they say is necessary to stabilize global energy prices. This narrative overlooks the refusal of these same nations to contribute when the situation was critical. Despite the presence of hostile Iranian forces in the strait, key European allies refused to deploy military assets or provide direct assistance to the American-led operation. Spain has moved toward an even more explicit break from the status quo. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez is now actively coordinating with China, advocating for a multipolar order that operates outside of American influence. The traditional NATO alliance has reached a point of functional expiration. Legacy allies are benefiting from American security while simultaneously building the economic foundations for a rival global system. The United States is now publicly acknowledging this shift. President Trump recently signaled that further NATO assistance is no longer wanted or needed, effectively dismissing the institution's utility. This push for multipolarity is a direct attempt to redistribute global power. By creating a trade axis between China, Spain, and Iran, these nations intend to build a secondary economy that is completely immune to American policy. This is a deliberate demolition of a broken system. The administration is clearing away obsolete diplomatic ties to make room for a strategy based on direct leverage. The diplomatic fallout for Spain was immediate. After Prime Minister Sanchez aligned with China and restricted access to American military bases, the United States responded by cutting off all trade with the country. There is significant grassroots support for this harder line. Citizens within allied nations are increasingly defending American tariffs and demanding that their own leaders stop relying on American resources while working against American interests. In the military theater, the United States executed a series of quiet strikes against Chinese assets. These operations specifically targeted the weaponry and resources China had stationed within the borders of Venezuela and Iran. These precision strikes compromised China's ability to protect its overseas interests. In less than 24 hours, the logistical hardware supporting China's presence in these regions was removed from the board. The United States is stripping away the proxy leverage of its rivals. By purging disloyal diplomats and dismantling foreign military caches, it is forcing a return to a landscape where American dominance is uncontested. On the economic front, reports indicate that Russia is shifting its strategy. Vladimir Putin appears ready to leave the BRICS currency bloc and resume trading in the US dollar to rejoin the global market. This shift isolates China's economic ambitions. Without Russia's cooperation in an alternative currency, China loses the scale necessary to maintain its multipolar financial system. The fiat system is being weaponized to enforce compliance. The US dollar remains the primary tool for restricting the growth of rival economies, without the need for sustained kinetic conflict. Sanctions have historically forced adversaries towards decentralized networks. To move money outside the reach of the US Treasury, countries like Iran turned to cryptocurrency. Iran developed state-subsidized Bitcoin mining on a massive scale. These facilities provided a steady flow of digital capital, allowing the regime to fund its operations and bypass the dollar-based financial system. The recent U.S. military strikes specifically prioritized the energy infrastructure feeding these mining operations. This chart shows the impact of that campaign on the Bitcoin network. Immediately following the strikes, Iran's share of the global hash rate dropped by 77%, effectively cutting off their digital funding source. Simultaneously, the U.S. is moving to establish its own strategic Bitcoin reserve. This accumulation of digital assets is designed to capture value within the decentralized market and apply it toward the national debt. This dual strategy targets the financial escape hatch used by adversaries. By neutralizing foreign mining capacity while building a domestic reserve, the United States is pricing its rivals out of the decentralized economy. We are seeing the end of the post-World War II subsidy model. The era where the United States pays to protect nations that work against its interests has been formally closed. This strategy is being guided by figures who view the world through the lens of asset scarcity. Appointments like Scott Bessent represent a shift toward leadership that treats trade and financial flows as extensions of national security. These military strikes, trade pressures, and digital asset moves are integrated components of a single pressure campaign. They work in tandem to remove the options available to those seeking a multipolar world. Success in this new era isn't measured by diplomatic consensus or regional stability. The goal is the re-centralization of power within the primary networks of global commerce and information.